Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for attending to our class. We are broadcasting again from our Yamato headquarters in Kagawa. And my name is Akira, and this is my colleague Megumi. And so we are doing the special noodle class today again for, well, this today's subject is kind of something special. We're doing something called, we're talking about something called, we call it micro noodle factory business. And I think this class is going to be for those, for thinking about starting up some business with the noodles, or, for like already in, well, some kind of business like doing, well, like offering some kind of noodles products and things. So like it's class is not going to be for, those for example, like, just kind of thinking about doing um, like so just learning how to make noodles like as a hobby or something. So, I just wanted to like just put it out like for you, like, for you, if you're like not, well, kind of thinking about doing this as a business. So just to not to waste your time. And so I just wanted to put it out first. And so let's get started. And but before, for starting it, allow me to spend a few minutes just while talking about ourselves, like, what we do, or Yamato, and just a few minutes. So like we are manufacturer of noodle making machines, and we've been in this business like for 45 years, and so we make noodle machines. Well, these machines are designed for small restaurants and well, like not small restaurant, but restaurant use and small production. And these are designed to produce like authentic Japanese noodles, like ramen, udon, and soba. And of course, like they're capable of like making fresh pasta, certain types of like Chinese noodles, even like dumpling skins. And we also do noodle schools, like training courses, and we teach like how to make soup, noodles, toppings, like even like how to develop menu items, and even like operation management of a noodle restaurant. So basically, like, a lot of people like who attend our courses are like those who want to start up a noodle restaurant business, or like any type of like noodle businesses. And we have customers using our machines over 60 countries and more. And we have offices in, well, in Japan, like eight of them, like including Tokyo, Kagawa, in Osaka, like big cities. We have offices in Seoul, Korea, Singapore, and Netherlands, United States. And we work with partners in different countries as well. So we're basically a group of noodle making experts who help our customers to succeed in their businesses by providing training, equipment, of course, and recipes, like whatever they need to succeed in the businesses. And at the last minute, I put the logo of our sister company, Sansho, like it's called Kijoan. And I just put that logo in there, like to show you guys that, like, we have a partner, sister company that's actually engaged in production of noodles that are um, catered to consumers and local restaurants. So today's topic will be kind of like really like to kind of something similar to like what they do as well. So let's get into the today's class. And so these are what we're going to talk about today. Micronoodle factory. So what's micronoodle factory business? And we're going to talk about like pros and cons. And so what do we need, right, to start one and succeed in it? And space, location, equipment, and other things we're going to talk about. And we're going to consider like initial production capacity and business growth, right? And then we're going to do a bit of like demonstration, like using a machine, and kind of like just want to kind of show like the power of like flexibility that we have in this business. And Want to show like a bit of like unique products that we could offer and a bit like packaging. And we're gonna finish off like with the Q&A sessions. So if you like have some questions, please send them in the comments. Okay, so let's get started. And so what's a micro noodle factory business, right? And micro noodle factory business is basically a production slash distribution of unique craft and high quality fresh noodles that are catered to the needs of consumers in local neighborhoods. So unlike a large noodle factory that produce noodle products from mass markets like ones sold at supermarkets, noodle shops, the production volume and capacity of this business is limited to a certain volume. We're talking about a production capacity of around hundreds to thousands of servings of fresh noodles in one day. To differentiate it from the mass-produced noodle products, this business aims to produce and offer noodle products that are unique, healthy, high quality, and safe, and cater to the needs of local customers. And it's like a bit like a microbrewery that we're providing in that we provide something unique and probably local. And but like instead of like one size fits all products, we're thinking about providing products that are unique and more catered and even personalized, right, to changing and diverse needs of our local neighborhoods and markets. So, what are the characteristics and like pros and cons of this business? Um, because the production batch size, like minimum batch size is small, unlike a noodle factory, so we can make a unique offering that's in small quantity. We can cater to unique demand of the local markets. This flexibility makes it also easy to do a test market on the noodle product we develop, right? And then also like we could have like I'm going to talk like more about it like later, but like we could have like a platform, like a communication platform to educate markets for better food cultures, like what products and things like this. So it's basically like small, flexible production that are catered to local market needs. So pros and cons of starting a micro noodle factory, right? So starting with pros, right? Goods. And so like, we're flexible. We talked about flexibility and flexibility in product development and offering. It's basically like, we could differentiate easily, like, uh, from competitors. This is probably the biggest strength this business has. This will give us an ability to respond to changing and diverse needs of our customers with speed. And low production cost plus high quality products. So the low production cost of noodles and other ready products in combination with our ability to develop and offer high quality products allows us to provide high values to our customers. Providing customers with products that are premium quality at a low price keeps them loyal to us and away from the competition. And relatively low investment or barrier to enter. So unlike starting up a noodle factory with a big production capacity, we are building a noodle factory with a production capacity of up to thousands of craft noodles in one day. So we won't have to have a huge building, right, to house the production facilities, which will require a large investment. In summary, we can start small with the potential to grow it into big business. Cons, bad, right? So starting this business like requires a certain level of expertise. So no one is born with the knowledge and skills to produce sparkle fresh noodles. People would love. So to be able to develop and offer craft noodles that our local customers will be addicted to, you need to learn and experience the local ingredients, noodle making techniques, and what your customers want. If you're new in this field, you'd have to invest your time to reach at a certain level. And of course, we're here to help you get there. It requires a certain level of manual work. So it's a small scale operation that needs you to get your hands dirty. For example, in production noodles, You'll have to smell and touch ingredients, the flour, water, and the others, and turn them into fresh noodles, one serving by one serving. In short, it's not like tapping on a smartphone and getting all the products delivered to your customers. So if you don't like experiencing things firsthand, getting your hands dirty, this business may not be for you. Three, risks. There's a risk of not creating sufficient demands for sales, right? I mean, in any business, there's always a risk of not getting enough sales to sustain or grow a business. So, we thought it'd be great, but it turned out to be a flop once we started it. It could be happen to any business. That's why it's important for us to do some research first. Get to know the customers we would be serving, what choices do they currently have, etc. We're talking more about this in a minute. So, what do we need, right, to start a micro noodle factory business or to succeed in it? So, when starting any business, we should do some market research to a certain extent to get sufficient data about our local markets, at least to gain enough knowledge to make business decisions with certain degree of comfort. And with any business, we won't be able to dig deep enough to be 100% comfortable with the decisions we make. But we should spend some time studying our customers, who they are, what they do, what choices do they have now, how they eat, what choices do they currently have. This should clear out some of the bumps and surprises that we inevitably encounter along the way. So who be our target market, right? Naturally, a micro noodle factory business serves a particular part of markets with unique sets of demographics, daily habits, and characteristics that matter to our business. So deciding who we will be serving first is very important because we are going to be designing our products, packaging, pricing, and other aspects of our business catered to these people. You want to know what they care about, what they regularly eat, if they're single, married, how many kids they have, where they live, what they shop for groceries, or whatever that we can find out about them that matter to our business. These are information help us decide what and how of our business. Another thing we want to check out before we start is like competition, right? Competition, like we need to scout around for what products local customers perceive as alternatives to our offering, which is fresh noodles. There may be some mass-produced noodles sold at supermarkets, or what's offered at McDonald's on the corner of your neighborhood. In the eyes of local markets, what do they perceive as alternative to our offering we have in mind at this point? Where are they sold? How do the customers consume them? What are the pricing points? What kind of packaging do they have, right? Can we make a top 10 list of the most popular items? Answers to these questions should represent at least parts of our markets in the current reality. All the information should help us shape our offerings into competing products or products that our market perceives to be different from these products. The competition may be from other regions if your local markets are not big enough to justify the feasibility of this business. So in that case, you need to expand the scope of your research. There are other things that we may want to know before moving forward, but taking out the few potential, taking out the potential competition, which means what choices our local markets and who our customers are, should be a few of what we need to know before starting this business. So based on what we found from the research, we should have a better idea of how we should structure our packaging. And because we want to different in the eyes of our markets from the competition, we should structure our products, pricing, and labeling, and other aspects like what we obtain from research. For example, if you're making products for retail or direct consumers, you should think about creating options such as meal kits or something more complete than just fresh noodles. We're targeting local restaurants for their needs for craft noodles. May want to talk to them directly or dine at them to get a sense of what they may want. At the same time, we may get a sense of how much they're willing to pay for, etc. This sort of, and then three, sorry, so number three, so like this is sort of like another form of research, but this time we're trying to find reliable supplies for our ingredients and raw materials. Ingredients being white wheat flour, the types of grains, or anything else you're making your product to it. If you're offering like soups, protein, like a vegetable, like as toppings or sides, you should be in touch with like these related suppliers as well. Other things you may need are containers used for takeout, delivery, or retail wholesale. And distribution is another component you have to figure out for your business. Are we going to have a physical retail store where local customers can come and pick what they want? Or utilizing some third-party service, we rely on the service of pickup, delivery, payment, collection. We can use these services because like some of them are probably better at like doing these things than we are. But we need to have some platforms where we can communicate directly with each of our customers, whether they are our own website or SNS platforms, because we want to know what they want, their feedback on products, or whatever we can find about their lives, like preferences, like other things, right? And then the better we know about our customers, the better suited like we can make our products to their needs. So we want to know about whatever we can find about them. And we want to also like educate them about our products and provide information that makes their lives better from our own media platforms. So having these platforms like would be like crucial to the success of a business because they allow us to communicate directly with the customers. This is a key, like vital key to like kind of keep, making a business better for them. And number five, of course, like location, because we are factory after all, right? We need a physical location where we manufacture products. And if you have to have like a physical retail wholesale location, we may want to be close to some neighborhoods with fairly large populations. In regards to the location, there are certain things like we should consider like how much space do we need for a production facility? What kind of basic facilities is available? If it's close to the point of distribution, if we like use some delivery service, we're going to show a few sample floor plans for micro noodle factories for you, like see how much space we may need. But this is just for production space later. So number six, based on like what we talked about, like I think we can figure out what equipment we may need to start this business. So depending on the type of noodles you decide to offer and what the initial production volume you're going to do, whether or not we offer like sauce, like soup topping size, or anything else, and like if you're going to produce them or outsource them, we can decide on what equipment are most suitable for businesses. So I have like some like sample floor plans for noodle production only and something like this. And well, just noodle, but this is just for like noodle production facilities. And you can see like in these sample floor plans, like you may need like refrigerators to store like finished products, so like water supplies, drainage, of course, probably freezer, depending on like what kind of noodle we were talking about, and definitely like air conditioning system that keep the temperature of the noodle making room stable throughout the year, because the temperature like especially affects the quality and conditions of the noodles and other products. We should have this in mind like when constructing a place or renting a place. So like, so how much investment are we looking at, right? Based on all these things, like we need to start micro noodle factory, and it would of course like depend on like varying conditions of different locations we decided the business is at. Um, it's like so it's there's like a lot of like factors that go into like when decide well when like figuring out how much we need, right, as an initial investment. But like we should be like at least looking at like maybe like in US dollars, maybe like $50,000 in case of this is probably the smallest scale, starting on a small scale. say like daily production capacity like 500 up to like 500 servings. And we also need to like think about like how much funds we need to set aside as the running expenses that for at least like the first 3 months or 6 months until like we start generating profits. Because the initial investment like vary dramatically, right? Depending on a lot of factors. So each of us should do some research to figure out like all the expenses to calculate the total investment. And if you're interested in it, like we can definitely help you figure out the costs as well. And so please feel contact us like if you're interested. Okay, so there are some sort of like several patterns like production facilities like we may consider like we can suggest for micro noodle factories. And I'll show you like a few examples, but like these are all like based on businesses that offer noodle related products only. And if you're thinking about like offering additional items in a product, um, there's such as like sauces like soups, toppings, side dishes like beverages, etc. Right? We need to have bigger space and more equipment. We can definitely help you design and draw floor plans for businesses that offer these other items. And actually, we have helped our customers, draw floor plans for their whole noodle restaurant operations. And we actually designed like hundreds of them, like over the past like 4 decades or so. So if you are interested in like kind of, you know, getting this sort of like a drawing, just please feel free to contact us. So in our offerings of noodle machines, we have equipment for different types of noodles and daily production capacities. And to make it simple, like our offerings can be like categorized into three patterns. The production option in sample A, so maybe limited to about 500 servings of fresh noodles in a day. Sample B and sample C are capable of producing up to about 1,000 servings and 2,000 servings of fresh noodles in one day, respectively. And sample D combines a ramen machine and the unit of udon machine. So ramen machine, this particular ramen machine does not have a mixer with it. So we make dough with the mixer unit of the udon machine and process it on the ramen machine. Because the udon machine is better at producing noodles that are high in hydration. This is like over 45% or so. For certain types of noodles, that the ramen machine cannot make, right? We may go for this kind of setup. Okay. All right. So I'd like to like briefly like touch on like production processes of like craft noodles, and we first need to make dough, right? So this slide so like describes all the steps, all the processes that we need to make dough for craft noodles. And to have consistent qualities in our products, we operate on the principle of digital cooking, where we make everything by numbers. For example, like we measure each ingredient by weight to 1/10 of a gram and time each process. For example, like mixing for 10 minutes. And we measure temperature, the room where we make noodles, etc. So all these numbers are written on the recipes of each type of noodles that we make. And this production method allows us to make and offer products at the same quality over and over. This is very important because the consistency is one of the elements, right? Our customers trust us for and become loyal to our business for. So in the first step, right, measuring all the elements that matter to the product quality, this is the most important process that we cannot screw up. We need to have proper measuring devices and make sure that they are calibrated. So measurements are always precise. And so I'm gonna have like a few slides that sort of like describe like kind of noodle making processes and production processes, but like I'm just gonna go through them. briefly, and then we're gonna go into like more details of each process like in another class of micro noodle factory, maybe like in a few weeks. But like please remember that measurements are critical, and we have to have proper measuring devices. And I'll show you like some of the measurement devices we should have for our micro noodle factory later. And so after we make dough, right? So we sheet, thin it, and then cut it and portion it. And for certain types of noodle, like we do the resting process, like we call the third resting process in refrigerator. And for micro noodle factory business, like we had to package them, right? We had to put in a container, proper container, and then picking and delivery. So this is so we sheeting process. The sheeting process, like we do, like this is a sheeting process of ramen machine, right? Typical ramen machine. So we have like set of like big rollers, big roller, big meaning like big in like large in diameter of the rollers, so that well, yeah, this roller like can apply like um, good, very like strong pressure into the dough to develop gluten structure inside dough. And so we thin it, right? We thin it is like the thickness is determined by well, the thinning of rollers, right? And then, but we use this kind of cutter, splitter cutter that's in the picture. And so each of these groups determines the width of the noodles. So noodle like dough like goes into this cutter and then comes out noodle strands. And each of the like width of the noodles like is determined by the each group size of the noodles, the cutter. And so we could have like different cutters for different sizes, and we can have like even like different shapes. So the square shape is the most common, like most popular shape. But we could have like a round shape, for example, like for pasta, spaghetti, and other types of noodles, and it would like even have like edgy cut like shape. And so this chart is used to describe like different types of noodles in terms of like noodle texture, which is determined by hydration ratio, how much water we are putting into the flour and mixing to make dough, and the protein content of the flour that's used to make this dough, and the size, right? The size, like on the right hand side, like there's a size, 1.0 millimeter, like to 5 millimeter. So you could plot like different types of noodles in terms of like protein content, hydration, and the size of the noodles. And the most famous, most popular type of ramen noodles is called Hakata ramen noodles. Like that's on the left, upper left corner, the green circle, right? So that's this type of noodle is like low in hydration, which makes this noodle hard, and but like high in protein content with flour, and which makes this noodle hard. So this is a hard noodle, and look at the size, right? Size is like between 1.1 millimeter and like 1.3 millimeter. This is a thin noodle, like so. This is a thin and hard noodle, and so you can plot like different types of noodle like that your customers prefer. Um, anywhere in this chart, like in terms of like protein content, hydration, and then size of the noodles. Okay, let's look at the cost, right? The cost of producing one serving of fresh noodles. And talking about cost, right? What kind of costs are there, right? And I think depending on like some place, region, country. I think the labor cost may be the highest, right? The highest of them all. And of course, like we need to like think about like ingredient costs, right? Ingredient costs and utility costs, and all these costs like kind of going to well, how much it costs us to make one serving of noodles. So let's look at each of them like in detail. So this slide is kind of messy, like with all these numbers, but like, so this slide, this cost calculation, like assumes that like we are making, um, you know, one serving of noodles, like that's 130 grams, right? That's like the weight of fresh noodles. And what's important here is like so serving size and the hydration ratio and what kind of ingredients we use, right? And cost of each ingredients. This is kind of important, like so that you yourself like can do the calculation yourself. And you can definitely like do a calculation for you, like if you have all these numbers as well. So but anyway, so like hydration ratio, so it's like to make like one serving noodles, like that's like 130 grams in weight. Then water ratio is like hydration rate is like 33%. So basically how much flour you need for this one serving is like just 97. I mean, the solid ingredient is just 97.74 grams. That's flour weight, right? And then you adding liquid to it, right? Liquid meaning being like water and salt and currency. For those of you like who don't know what currency is, please watch our previous class. Like I talked about it, what it is, and look at this. So the we calculate the so you basically buy like in Japan, right? For example, like we buy like flour, like it's kind of like industry use, right? So that's they come in like in this 25 kilo bag, paper bag, right? And then it depends, like there's a grade, right? There's and then like how much protein it contains, and like so the price varies from market to market, like brand to brand. But like let's say like that's like $30 or something like the bag, right? And then so like you calculate like so how much it is like for I mean 97.74 grams of it. How much do we pay for it, right? And then so that's how we calculate. It's like so it's divide it, right? Um, Divide the number by so 97.74, like what is it in terms of like percentage, like 25 kilograms, right? And same thing with the currency, and the salt, water. And so like total cost like for one serving is just 14 cents in US dollars, right? And the labor cost, so labor cost, so this is the sort of like production schedule that we use um, for some type of noodle, like and then like using particular type of like machine. This is, by the way, like the smallest machine that we have for ramen noodles. And so we divide this operation like into like three processes. So weighing the ingredients, 10 minutes per batch, but like we can reduce it to like from 5 minutes, like even like less, shorter. There are ways to do it. So like we could probably talk about like how we could cut back on like time in then some other class. But like so the mixing time. So this is a medium hydration ratio noodle. So that's 10 minutes per batch, and it's heating, cutting, portioning operation, like that's like 40 minutes per batch, right? And so we it takes us like 6.5 hours. This 6.5 hours includes the time it takes like to clean everything, right? Clean everything like machine and like floor and everything. Takes us like 6.5 hours to make 590 servings of fresh noodles. And let's say like labor cost is like $12 per hour, right? $12 per hour. Like maybe in some countries, like maybe higher, lower, right? Let's say like it's 12 hours, right? So 12 hours times like 6.5 hours, right? That's $78. $78. It takes like $78 to make 590 servings. So to make one serving, like we can calculate it as like 13 cents per serving for the labor cost. The utility fees, right? Utility fees, like so. What are the utilities? Electricity, water, and it says electricity like varies from place to place, like country to country, market to market, like even like from like company to company. So, um, well, I just did some research and came up with these numbers and um, so like 12 cents, right? 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and water. It's kind of complicated, but like just this for a household like four each of like which uses like 100 gallons per day. You'd be charged like charged like $73 per month, right? And so it calculates to like 0.0016 per liter. Okay, and enrichment one machine, there's a machine called enrichment one which we're gonna use later. It's gonna be a show later, but like electric consumption is a 0.88 kilowatts per hour. So using it for like an hour, like may cost us like around like 0.88 times like well, 12 cents, right? 12 cents. So that's like about like 11 cents. And so 11 cents to make, so like we make about like 91 servings in the previous example, right? So we can develop like this 11 cents per by 91 servings to get like how much it costs us to, electricity wise, to make like one serving, right? So that's 0.0012 cent like per serving. Um, the water, and to make 590 servings of fresh noodles, like we use about like 19.1 kilograms of water, and that's like 0.0016 times like 19.1, and we get about like 3 cents, right? But divided by like 590 servings, and we get like 0.000052 per serving. So like that's really, trivial, very small number. So like, we don't have to probably have to put it into the cost calculus, but like the UT cost of like producing one serving fresh noodles, hydration ratio 33 serving, like, so that's about like 0.001 dollars. So well, we could put in the calculation, but like basically, so like to produce like one serving fresh noodles, um, that's 33% hydration ratio and 130 grams. This example like is 27 cents per serving. Okay. And then we can do like all this kind of calculation. We can help you do that. So if you're interested in like kind of figuring out like how much it costs you to make one serving noodles, or like how much profit, how much you can save, we'll be more than happy to like kind of help you do that. So please feel free to let us know. And so it's probably the last thing like we're going to talk about in the lecture. And so 3 ways to make so ingredients like from noodle factory. So like if you're a restaurant, right, then that serves noodles, then of course like you can make noodles for the consumption at your own restaurant. Of course, you're not like you're in total control, like quality, ingredients, recipes, noodles that your customers will be addicted to. You can make your own like addicted, like your customers like addicted to noodles. Then the wholesale, right? Wholesale, we can cater to local restaurants' needs for fresh noodles that they offer at their restaurants. They don't have to be noodle restaurants, by the way. And if they have like some menus with like noodles and pasta, for example, like, or even like dumplings, yeah, we can be a supplier. Our advantage here is like again like the flexibility. So we can provide unique products in small quantity, and we should be able to like charge a higher price for example, like high quality than what's charged by a big factory. Though we may have like learned about like markets preferences and other things that we can learn, right? Like by offering them the noodles that they request, because like they are serving these noodles like to end consumers, right? So like we can learn, right? The market's preferences and things in this business, but because like it's kind of difficult like for us like to be able like expect a big profit by doing this business in this business. So you probably should limit like number of dealings, right? And then focus more of like our resources on retail, like directly dealing with the end consumers. Um, so because we are mainly dealing with like consumers, like for maybe looking for complete meals, we should have something more finished than just noodles like for consumers. For example, like we may want to like attach pack of soup like sauce to portion of our noodles along with some toppings that are protein fiber like and some side dishes maybe like and then as well as selected beverages like local beverages to go with the meal. So by having a complete meal kit as an option, we can definitely charge more. But of course, like we can only offer like premium quality noodles with ingredients that appeal to our customers. And they would like, probably rather spend like, some time on cooking their own meals at home. And so, like price unique offerings and package like not too fancy, but like has to be like distinctive enough to look unique, different from alternatives that are already in the market. And we can make the pricing like competitive and even like higher than the alternatives. And the last thing I want to show, like before we go into the demonstration, this is just like simple calculation, like simulation. So we could have like just having talked about these two modes of like business, like wholesale and retail, like and direct consumers. We could do the hybrid mode, and so the wholesale, like let's say, right, the average daily cost is like um, 28 cents, like 30 cents, like to make one serving noodles. And if he succeed in selling like 300 servings on average, daily average, right? The cost is like be like 84 to $90, right, to produce 300 servings. And for the daily sales, right? So now we could charge, we can charge, right, for the pricing like 60 cents per serving. Um, that's $180 in sales, right? And the profit $90, right? And for the retail, and because of the packaging, we probably have to like have like bit fancier packaging for retail like direct consumers. So the total cost for something like came out to like 35 cents, let's say, and if you can sell 20 servings on average, the average like it's $70, right, to produce 200 servings. And if you can charge, successfully charge, right, $1.20, right, for serving of truck noodles, that's $240 in sales, right, and $170 in profit. So to sum up, so average daily sales um, combined for $420 and combined cost, right, that's $160. So the combined average daily profit is $260. So if you operate 24 days, right, 24 days in a month, that comes to like $6,240 and yearly profit of $74,880. And of course, there are other costs like expenses, like if you're renting a place, you may have to like, of course, like pay the rent, right? And there may be like other expenses involved, right? So, this is some like simulation that we just kind of like just simplify, like just for the just to show like for the just to get a sense, right? But because each situation is like different, dramatically different, so like we have to we had to do calculation, we had to do like simulation first to see like what kind of business plan like we can set up and consider. So but like if you're interested in discussing this with us, like we'll be like more than happy to like well talk about it with you like in more detail. So if interested, please feel free to contact us. Okay, so that was a pretty long lecture for me, and And I'm sure like some of you are dozing off, so let's start the demonstration. Yeah, so we're in this room where we well, shoot videos and like it's like, well, somewhat soundproof, so that like it's pretty noisy actually outside, but like, so we have this Richmond one machine like we talked about a bit like in the lecture. Um, this machine is only one model, and well, you could be able to like produce like up to like 100 servings of fresh noodles from scratch in an hour. In that example, like we had like just 91 servings per hour, but like really, it all depends on like your portion size, hydration ratio. So you have to do the calculation. See, and then we have like all these cutters, splitters we talked about right in the class. Um, the different sizes. See the like size of the grooves, and this one has a the parts on the back of the cutter. This is the parts like to make curly wavy noodles, and we'll show you guys later how we do it. And well, and these are like thicker noodles for thicker noodles. Um, There's like some tsukemen noodles, dipping noodles, and it's like round shaped noodles. Like so, this is maybe used for like some spaghetti. Then that one is like a reverse cut noodles, like has like deeper grooves for reverse cut noodles. And then for the people who don't know what it is, like you can watch our previous class on Ieke ramen. Okay, and so we have some well ingredients here, and right flour, and right, and it's a flour like wheat flour that we talked about, and that's yeah, and then like whole egg. This is the egg, but in powder form. And we use this kind of things like for certain types of noodles. And it's the currency that we talked about, like salt and then the water, right? So these are all the ingredients that we use. And so she's putting that flour. So one of the solid ingredients, we talked about in the cost calculation, right? And so that whole egg powder is always like a solid ingredient. So she's putting in there first. So this mixer is 10 kilograms mixer, which means that you can mix up to 10 kilograms of solid ingredients, right? But the minimum batch, right? The minimum batch is like four. Minimum batch is 4 kilograms. So that's like equivalent. That would be like equivalent of like maybe like 30 to like 40 portions, 40 servings of fresh noodles. So that's the small production batch. That's a small production batch like you were talking about, right? So if you have a customer, who just need like just 40 portions, right? 40 servings of like kind of unique craft noodles, then you can definitely cater to this particular customer. So that's the kind of part of like flexibility that we are talking about in this kind of business, this micro noodle factory business. So what she did was like she dissolved like all the calcium and salt in the water, and so she's adding this liquid into the flour, and what like as you can see like she's adding this liquid like directly onto the lid, which has like these small holes, right? And so that liquid is like dipping through the holes, right, a little by little, um, to well hydrate the flour a little by little while it's mixed. And so this definitely like so like for good hydration of the dough. and so which is like the most important. I mean that which is the part actually the purpose of mixing good hydration of dough. So so we're mixing it, right? And this is yeah, and then like we she prepared the dough in advance, like because we don't want to keep watching the dough like be mixed, and so she's going to do the next process in the. So what she's doing now is that she's feeding this dough. It's like crumbles dough into the set of rollers, clearance with rollers. That's set to like 1.5 millimeter um, thickness. So it's very small, narrow gap, right? And then so what we're doing like is like making sheet of dough through these rollers. So sheet of dough is coming out from the other side of the machine, and like she's winding it onto rolling pin, right? And then this rolling pin is like put against the rollers. That's of course like moving, rotate, and then so that after she puts this rolling pin against the roller, like this front roller, the rolling pin just like winds by itself, like automatically, right? So she wouldn't have like you know rotate like wind it. So she's doing now like she just keeps feeding the dough into the rollers. Then the machine just keeps making this sheet of dough. So as you maybe like notice, it's like she's making dough right inside the mixer right now. Like so she was using the mixer, and she's now and at the same time she's making sheet of dough, right? So you can do the rolling process. You can use like a rolling unit, roller unit, and a mixer unit like simultaneously. So that boosts the productivity. And if you get like orders like multiple orders, like kind of small batches like noodles, and then you know you can just work on them like at the same time. So we now have like rough sheet of dough, right? And then, but this like dough is like very pretty still like fragile. So we need to make it firm by what's usually now like kind of separating this sheet of dough into two, like two rolls of dough, right? Two separate rolls of dough, like but like the same dough, but like separate them, right? And then into two, right? And then compound them into like one sheet of dough again through the rollers. This way, we can make the dough firm. So you just have to like make it even, right? Make it even like just double the those sheets into one. So if the other if like one of the sheets like is longer, you just like fold it to make it even. And so now another like we want to make sure that like gluten inside those like fully developed by what they like combining process again like for the second time. And so this series of process like making well mixing and rough forming like forming I mean making like rough sheet of dough and then the combining processes um, this completes the sort of like the noodle texture of the dough. So after this process like we consider the dough like gluten structure inside dough is like it's fully developed. So all we have to do is just thin it thin it to the final thickness and cut it. And yeah, so like maybe you'll like notice that like how much space actually we're using, right, for operation, right? Um, we showed like the sample flow plan like using this machine, lecture, but like look at like how much space like we need, like in how small the space we need, for operation. That's it's pretty small. Like we may need like for probably more space like for we want to have like refrigerator, freezer, and like maybe like some like sink, right? Um, water supplies and what but other than that, like look at how much space, right? How small a space we need like just for noodle making operation. And so like after second combined process, you just want to thin it. Just want to thin it, right? And from this point on, we want to dust it. We want to dust the dough. this dough sheet to keep it from sticking. And so like we just thinning it to the final thickness like before we cut it. And the roller gap like we set previously was like 2 millimeter, and we're now going for 1.5 millimeter in thickness. Okay, and so I think the next round we can cut it, but like um, so this is the process right before we cut it, before we like cutting in the noodles, and she prepared actually like different types of dough over there, right? And then um, so different ingredients, using different ingredients, and yeah, and it's like this to show like sort of like kind of like like flexibility of this micro noodle factory business, and it's like you can like make all these like dough like in advance, right? Like let's say like you have like customers like repeating customers, right? And then who like just keep ordering like the same type of noodles, right? And then but you don't know like if the customer is coming today, but like let's say like you have like multiple customers like who order like same type of noodles, and so you can make them advanced, right? And then you know in this kind of form, and then you can just cut maybe like few portions out of these dough, right? And then just just sell them like on demand. So that's what we can do, right? So that's the flexibility of this micro factory business as well. And so she measured the actual thickness of the dough now, and it's like that's like 2 millimeter. Like after it's going to like 1.5 millimeter. So there's a difference of 0.5 millimeter between the actual thickness and then the roller gap, right? So you have to measure it. This is one of the measuring devices that we talked about in the class, right? That's the what we call a caliper, and yes, to kind of like precisely measure the thickness of dough, um, so that the final product that we're going to have is going to have exactly the same size over and over. I mean, depending on the temperature and condition of the ingredients that we get, right? Um, like moisture level is different, so that like this discrepancy, right, between the actual thickness and then the roller gap be different, right, from day to day. So before you cut it, you might want to measure the actual thickness to get the exactly same noodle size. And well, we are not we're not really showing it today, but like usually we also measure the weight, of like one portion of the noodles. Because like that's also important too, right? And naturally, and then so this weight is in this machine is determined by the length of the noodles, the length, of the noodles, and so you can change the length at the touch of the volume with ease. So, like making shorter to have like smaller portion size, right? And then longer to have, well, of course, like bigger portion size. It's shorter, which means like it's smaller portion size. And now we have like longer noodles for bigger portion size. So it's really up to you to like kind of have proper portion size for your customers, and because it's low cost and ingredients is like usually like um, well cost a little, so you might want to make it a little bit longer than the competitors to well have like bigger portion for your noodles. I mean for your customers, and well that may reflect like some kind of like value, higher value in your product and your offerings. But like you probably charge like at the same price, right? So this is like kind of like the whole operation of the noodle making. Uh, this ramen machine, and of course like we have like other types of machine like udon machines and like soba machines. But we'll show you guys how these machines work like probably in some other class, and you can also like check out some of the videos that we have like on our YouTube channel um, to see like how each of these machines works. And we want to show you some of the dough like she made in advance, right? And this one, it's one like she made like from with the the spinach powder, right? And then so what she did was like she made this dough, right? Like up to like second combining process, and so she put the plastic bag like around it to keep it from drying, right? And so this is something we call second resting process. Second resting process, like to develop like gluten inside dough, right? And so for certain types of noodles, and then like to make like better quality noodles, like we sometimes apply this like second resting process in the dough, and of course you can thin it to the thickness like before you cut it, before you can cut it. But like in this particular dough, like she just did up to like second combined process. So like so she's sheeting it a bit. So she's cutting it, but like, again, like she has to measure the actual thickness, right, first. And then it's like 2.1-ish. And so the difference is like about like 0.6 millimeter in thickness. So taking this difference, right, in thickness, you need to adjust the roller gap to how much you need to thin it to make sure that you get the final thickness right. So let's make like few let's make a few servings and move on to like other dough, the noodles, other types of noodles. Just cut a few. Well, yeah, I wish you guys are here because like we are like smelling um, the spinach from this dough, and it's a very good smell. And I wish you guys were here to be able to like smell it. It's a very good smell. And so this particular setup, like the cutter that she's using, like so she's using this the same cutter we use, like number 20, which is like 1.5 millimeter in width. But like what she did was like she put the parts in the back of the cutter, right, to make them curly, right? And these are very, very curly, and um, you can actually adjust the curliness, just the curliness of the noodles as well, and by adjusting the position of the parts you put on the back of the cutter. So let's say like you have get an order, right? You get an order, say like you know, well, 8 servings of these particular noodles, right? And so you just took the dough and made like just 8 servings, right, of these noodles, right? And so then like put it away, and put the bag in a plastic bag and put it away, right? And so let's see, so this noodle next. This is this is so the next. Oh, sorry. So this is a dough like she needed a beets powder into. So we've done like noodles like with beets before, but like um, we can you can probably definitely like do Um, so, yeah, but like what I was gonna say is like like you can definitely like find some ingredients like you can source like ingredients locally. It's like your customers, there's a particular certain group of customers like who like certain ingredients that can be sourced locally. You can definitely use that. And if that's like certain types of some kind of vegetables, um, for example, like kind of like leafy vegetable or something, and you maybe like kind of like well make it into juice in a blender and mix it in the noodles like in a mixing process. And that's one of the main things that you could do with the noodles. So basically, like making dough, and then needing like some like local ingredients that your customers love, and then um, so that's like one of the things that you can do like to appeal to your local customers. And again, like she's measuring the actual thickness, which is like 2 millimeter, 2 millimeter. So like again, like there's a difference of like 0.5 millimeter. So she needs to make adjustment on the indicator. And actually, this indicator is like one of the measuring devices that I was talking about in the lecture. And then so this indicator like kind of actually well measures the or just adjusts the like roller gap, right? I mean the clearance like between the rollers. Um, and 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 of course, like we talk about like collaboration, so that sometimes like from time to time, like you need to like make sure that it's calibrated, so that the measuring is precise. So she's using this round cutter, like round cutter number 16, round cutter, which is about like 2 millimeter in width, round cutter. And the shape of this cutter is like more like more like oval than round. But this type of cutter is like used for certain types of like ramen noodles and of course certain types of pasta as well. Typically used for, yes. And so she's cutting. Okay, all right, so it's coming out. And unlike the previous batch, like this is the straight noodles. Okay, it's cut a few, and um, maybe I think you guys get an idea, right, of like how you can operate. So we could just stop the demo here. Okay, and so so that's how you sort of like operate, the machine, and like maybe like how you could operate like as a micro noodle factory, um, by like having like all these like different types of dough prepared in advance. Like if you have like repeating customers, like who like always order like certain types of noodles, and you could have like certain like variety options for your customers, and you could like probably like promote like sometimes pasta, like some new pasta like on your Instagram, like or website and other things. So what we're going to show you is that like so if you are it's like operating a restaurant and like kind of making noodles like for your own consumption. What we use is like, we use like this kind of um, plastic containers like resin, like these containers like made of resin, and then it's a sanitary wise like it's very good. And then so we just wanted to show like some of the this is the dumpling skins that we made on this machine, and so like we have like so it's a dumpling drum, right? And for those like who want to know like how this drum is used, please watch our previous class that we did on like gyoza dumpling, and we're showing like how this drum is used in the class, and this stuff, yeah, the cutter, mold cutter, and this comes in like different sizes, different diameters, and so. Usually like we have this container, right, and then we um, lay this kind of like water absorbing like kind of paper kitchen towel, paper towel, and on the bottom, right, and then put another like at the top, right, and so these are like some pasta that we made, the pasta and the curly noodle, right, and but like with some like whole wheat needed in them, and these like low hydration rate noodles, and this is the kind of flat noodles that like we made like from the spinach needed noodles. Okay, and in case of sort of like wholesale business that you may want to do, right? So you could probably use this kind of like um, carton board like kind of container um, that this is actually our sister company like just talked about a little bit like at the beginning of the class, and so we stole a few from them, these boxes, and so you could again like put this paper at the bottom, right, and then on the top, and then like this is like a low hydration noodle, right? And these noodles need to be like refrigerated. These are to be refrigerated, and as long as they have like some ingredients like tansui, then they should keep like for at least for 1 week. But like I have to say that like over time, right? Over time, like in the refrigerator, like the noodle texture, condition of noodles like kind of change over time. Um, but but their quality like kind of peak at the fifth, maybe like third, fourth, like fifth day, and then they're gonna like kind of start going down. So from that point on, so and for the retail, right, for direct consumer market, um, again, like we stole like a few of their products from our sister company, Sanshio, and just to show you guys examples. So it's just a package, like kind of plastic bag package, like and kind of heat sealed, right? And then yeah, they like have like in Japan, like it's very simple, just have to have like kind of well, sure, like this is a kind of medium thickness. I mean, this is a medium thickness, yeah. And then so just has that, it just has like this kind of like label, how to cook it, right? How many minutes, and then the name of the product, and then like was like the ingredients, right? And then this is the serving size, then consumed by date, and this is a like kind of nutrition fact, right? Kind of like simple version of nutrition fact sheet, right? It's a kind of label like we have to have in Japan, but like it kind of course, like it's different, right, in your country, um, and it's got like the antioxidant pack in it, right? So that's it, and this is the consumed by date. just a like a sticker, like just um, put it on the put on the bag, and this is just the logo that they have for their ramen product, and there is a pack of like condensed soup, right? That you can just dilute with like hot water, right? And then this is the so if like consumers like buy these, right? I mean, they would have to like kind of cook them. They have to cook them by themselves, right, at home. So they have like this cooking instruction, right? And then, well, some of the like ingredients that they need, like maybe like kind of recommend few of the ingredients that they that would be nice to put on the well as a topping, right? Like and then like kind of the picture, right? And this is something else that they have, and then this is like cooking instruction. Like they also like do noodle like udon noodles as well, and so this is like kind of cooking instruction noodles, right? So like as part of like kind of education at the same time, like kind of providing this kind of instruction, and then it's like kind of menu, like kind of like different like noodle dishes that they could do with these noodles, right? Um, and it's kind of fun to read. These like if you have this sort of like kind of instruction and like kind of um, well, yeah, cooking instruction, like it's like as part of education and like kind of like well, maybe you could have like some kind of story of your products, like the shop, micro noodle factory, and we could probably talk about like some like culture, like ramen noodles, like Japanese noodles, as well, like like as part of like education, like kind of you can like sort of kind of educate the customers about like what's good, what's not, and um, so you have to be sort of like kind of communicative, like this if you're serving like if you're selling like ramen noodles, like you have to be you know you have to convey like all these information to the customers who may be interested in like knowing about it, and they could talk about and like with their family members, and like that's good. That's how like we can that's what we can do to like sort of like make their lives better, and then kind of introduce some kind of food culture, and then kind of well yeah, it's like something else, like something new, something like more like higher quality, right, to their like dinner tables. So yeah, and I want to ask you guys one question before we go, and um, what is the it's like I just assume like all of you are like kind of thinking about doing this kind of business, or like already in this kind of business, right? And like I want to ask you this question right before we go, and then like I'll be glad to like see your answers in the comments. And the question I want to ask you guys is that like what is the biggest challenge do you think that like to start this business, or to succeed in this business, like in your case, right? I want to ask you, right? And then um, so if you can answer this question, like please send them in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Okay, and I have some questions. And can plastic bags be reused? If so, how often? Uh, it's a very good question, and we probably have to like say like we don't recommend it, because the reason that of course like you could probably guess, but like just um, well if you have like some kind of like cleaning method or something, like to completely clean the bag after you use it, then you could probably definitely like reuse it, but like um, like if you don't, then like we recommend not to use it. Um, how long would that? I think it's the same um, amount of like time that you if you do the well if you do the if you put in this kind of plastic container, it's like it's as like 1 week, up to 1 week. Okay. So that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much today for joining us, and I hope to see you guys in the next class. And until then, stay healthy and stay safe. Bye. Bye. Thank you.